I farm in a good conservation way. I'm not an environmentalist, I'm a conservationist. I believe that we enhance our business community by having lower taxes, less government regulations, and that will bring our kids and our grandkids back here in high-paying jobs. I think we can do that. Now let's talk about rules and regulations. There was a study just done by in Washington, D.C. In the last 4 years, almost $500 billion has gone to rules and regulations on your life and my life and your business and my business, put on by the Obama administration. $90 billion just this year. We cannot afford to have any more rules and regulations coming from Washington, D.C., much less Helena, Montana. We need to cut our rules and regulations so people can thrive in a business community. And we can do it no differently than we do here in Sydney or Scobie or running our farms and ranches. Right now, the governor talks about a $400 and some million budget. They got over a $4 billion surplus in North Dakota. $1.2 billion in their general fund, $1.2 billion in their legacy fund, and then the rest goes up to over $4 billion. We had $400 million. And I'll tell you what the governor did. He took that $11 million out of the schools, like over here at Lambert, over at Bainville, over at Westby. Took that $11 million and they said it's going to go for education. Went into the general fund. The $86 million from Arch Coal on state land leases went into the general fund. So he could pad the general fund, and he did that to the tune of over $200 million, where those things should have gone to education and social services. He vetoed in 09 and 11 one of my pet projects, because I'm on the Appropriations Committee, to give more help to senior citizens in assisted living and rest homes, etc. like that. So that's what I'm fighting for. It doesn't matter whether you're a senior citizen, and I'm there, or you're a young person like my grandchildren. We need to have a business-friendly climate. We need to have a climate where it's very honest and sincere in the business that we deal with, and we're kind and considerate to the people that need the help that we need. But by golly, we should not have welfare when you don't have to work for it if you're able-bodied. And I will fight for those things as long as I can. We need to use our natural resources to fund education, to fund infrastructure, all the needs that we can. Because I've seen what's happened at the high school here in Sydney and the one at the elementary here in Sydney. That's not right. That money needs to go, those tax revenues on oil and gas needs to go to the local communities. And we are going to put in a bill that does that. I just want to say thank you to the Farm Bureau and the Chamber for this. It's a great opportunity to be here. Another thing that I'm very proud of, to have the Farm Bureau's endorsement, along with most of the agricultural ones and natural resource ones, realtors, it goes on and on. And I will fight pro-business, and yet my wife's a teacher. I will fight for education, because without a good education, you get a bunch of dull heads. And we are not dull heads up here. We are some of the smartest people in the whole wide world, but we're exporting them out of the state of Montana. So let's keep our kids here. Let's have a good business climate. Let's have a good, healthy climate, and we can do it. And with your help, vote for me, and we will. Thank you.
I am very disappointed that I cannot be at the Sydney Candidate Forum, but I have a conflict. The Sydney Forums have always proven to be interesting and energizing. Having lived in northeastern Montana almost all of my life, I have watched it change over the years, and I believe we are on the verge of big changes with the increased oil activity and all that comes with that. I believe your senator needs to be someone who is willing to look with an open mind and the willingness to listen at the opportunities and challenges this brings. As a board member of the Northeastern Montana Land and Mineral Owners Association, I hear firsthand the concerns that both landowners and mineral owners have. Our statutes that govern the oil industry and its development need to be looked at in the context of today. Most of them were written years ago. I want to see all parties sit down at the table, the oil industry, landowners, mineral owners, community leaders, legislators, to come up with solutions to the demands of the communities in the areas of development and to address the concern of the people I would serve. We hear a lot about jobs and job creation. Yet, when Republicans had a chance to pass House Bill 439, better known as the bonding bill, they wouldn't. This bill could have had the potential of creating 2,000 jobs and would have made an investment in higher education. It has a fiscal note of $97 million. Our budget surplus was far beyond that. I think party politics played into the failure to pass this bill. As your senator, I would work to make sure that my votes would be based on the needs of the people I serve. If we are to be pro-business, we also need to be pro-education. We need to make investments in our public education system, K through 12, as well as higher education to ensure that we have an educated and trained workforce that stays in Montana. That bonding bill would have made much needed upgrades to the buildings at our universities, community colleges, and schools of technology. Anyone using good common sense knows that if we want our children to stay in Montana, we need to provide them with up-to-date schools that are equipped to train them in the fields they are interested in and Montana businesses need. When our college buildings are small and outdated, our students will look out of state for their education and training and be more likely to live and work out of state. If we want to attract businesses to Montana, one of these things they will look at is an educated and trained workforce. I decided to run for the seat in Senate District 18 because I watched the last session closely and felt that common sense was not a part of what happened there. I saw extremists, ideologies, she uses too big a word for me. Ideologies. I saw bills that singled out groups in Montana and if passed would have caused more hardships for already vulnerable people. Groups like the disabled, the elderly, women, and children, and the poor. As a senator, I believe my role would be to represent all groups in my district and to be their voice. I am running because I believe everyone has a right to be heard at legislature, and that voice is their senator. I would bring to the legislature common sense, good listening skills, a willingness to work with both sides of the aisle, but first and foremost, a dedication to the people of northeastern Montana. I am asking for your vote this November and would appreciate your support. Thank you. Sincerely, Julie French.